So it was about 2 years ago, right about this time, when you were maybe beginning to shoot Carol. It was the winter.
Yeah, we started in I think the first week of March 2 years ago. So I can't believe it's been that
Yeah, right.
long.
It's been a
It's
long, probably one of the longest
scary.
journeys for you in terms of making a film and then waiting for it to come out. And
Well, I shot Terrence
Terrence
Malick's
Malick,
film 3 years ago now,
and it
so
hasn't been seen yet.
no, I'm still doing voiceover for it. So
Of
that's
course
the
you are.
longest. But I like that. I like
Yeah.
when a lot of time goes by because it's easier to watch it. It doesn't really look like me anymore. And
But you've since Cannes in May, you've been doing publicity for Carol, and been sort of asked a lot of the same questions, and hopefully not as many of the same questions tonight. But um, I wanted to start by asking about when you won Best Actress at the Cannes Film Festival, which was very well deserved. I interviewed one of the jury members actually, and he said that the decision that they came to was based upon, like, I think a lot of actors will understand this, that there's a sort of a square, like a 1 foot by 1 foot square that your face can play in, and the best actors can use every single inch of it without saying a word or even making an expression. And he goes, and that's why we gave the award to Rooney Mara.
Aw, that's very good, nice compliment.
But talk about this performance of stillness in a lot of ways, and also a lot of your emotions and a lot of your actions being internalized.
Yeah, I mean, we were lucky that Phyllis and Todd, that was something they really kind of encouraged. Starting off with Phyllis, she wrote such a beautifully nuanced script and really allowed for those moments of silence and the space between the words, um, and that was something that Todd was really interested in. It's sort of, it's kind of scary as an actor, especially being the quiet one in the film. You sometimes feel like you're not really doing enough, and you're not really sure what the camera is picking up. But I just kind of had to trust that Todd, knew what he was doing and
Yeah.
was gonna get what he needed. But yeah, I don't know. It's also not something you can really work on. It's just um, I don't know. I guess it's kind of an innate ability that I have also just in my everyday life. I tend to you can really see a lot on my face, and you can really feel what I'm feeling. It's not on purpose. I wish that I could turn it off, but
But in addition to this screenplay, Phyllis Naj, who's just, I mean, it's amazing because the script is almost more delicate in some of its nuances than the book even is.
yeah.
Just more a little more pulpy, but really good. You went to the book as well, right? Just to sort of look and
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't heard of the book or read the book before the screenplay, and then obviously when I knew I was going to be playing the part, I went and read the book, and I had it with me the entire time we were shooting, and I would go back to it whenever I needed it. It was really helpful for me, especially because the entire book is written from Therese's point of view,
yeah.
and so you have, an entire book that's full of her sort of stream of consciousness throughout this entire journey. So it was really, really very helpful to have that as a source.
I looked at the book again recently and noticed a little detail that I had forgotten, that both of Therese's parents are deceased.
Hmm.
So there's a sense of melancholy and a sense of almost um, loneliness, obviously, and feeling a little orphaned that is never revealed in the movie. But did that play in some way to your interpretation of the character?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's, one of the sort of forces between Therese and Carol, at least on Therese's part, is that Carol is sort of this role model, and at least I could tell that, Therese didn't really have uh, a female figure like that in her life to look up to and to sort of um, mold herself after.
Right, right. When did you first see the movie?
In Cannes,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Um, and how many times have you seen it many times since then?
No,
Is it
I thought one other time since then.
what is it like watching yourself on film?
It's a very strange experience. I mean, people always say this, it's really stupid and cliche, but it's like when you hear your voice on the answering machine and you're like, that is not, there's no way that's me. um, it's really uncomfortable, and at least for me, and I usually hate every second of it, and just notice all the things that I wish that I had done differently. And I mean, I'm the my own greatest bullshit detector. I know when I'm
Right.
doing something that's false, and other people might not pick up on those things, but I do. That's why I like seeing things when a lot of time has gone by, because I'm sort of less attuned to those moments. But certainly watching it in a high pressure situation like Cannes it was a very surreal, extraordinary experience. And for the first 25, 30, maybe 35 minutes, was able to lose myself in it, and I was like, God, I'm not that bad. And then I lost that feeling. But it's hard to lose yourself in a film when you've seen everything that's gone into making it.
Yeah. When you told me before, when I was talking to you another time, that you found yourself weirdly identifying more with Lisbeth Salander from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo than you'd even do with Therese. And I wonder, maybe has something to do with how different Lisbeth looks from you versus Therese? Is it easier to distance yourself and then be more comfortable with her?
No, I mean, I think we just there's this really I can't believe I'm even going to go into this, but when I
Please.
first started doing Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, David Fincher uses this sort of personality type test, like a Myers-Briggs type test. It's called the Enneagram, and he uses it for all of his films, and he gives each character whatever number they would be if they were to take the test. And he made me take the test, and I am the same number as Salander. I'm definitely not the same number as Therese. So even though I look nothing like Salander, our day-to-day lives are very different. Our upbringings were very different, but there's just something sort of, he kind of likened to 4 in the morning when you've been working for 16 hours. I need you to have qualities that I couldn't beat out of you with a tire iron.
Right.
So I guess I have some of those
The
in common with
the
her.
Enneagram?
Enneagram, yes. Yes. Really, really interesting. I became obsessed with it.
Really?
Yeah.
You tested your friends or family?
I made everyone I know take the test. I have an app on my phone. You can take it later
Good.
if you want.
I'll get it after. But what was it about? According to the test, differentiated your personality from Therese's?
Um, well, I mean, we're completely different numbers, so
Yeah.
lots of things.
A 6 and a 13, maybe. I mean.
No, there's only 9. There's only 9 numbers. It's not possible.
But here's a question, actually, speaking of like sort of how to scale something with numbers. In the 3 roles I think you're most famous for was Lisbeth and Therese now for sure, and also Side Effects, which is that great Steven Soderbergh. You were in his last
Yes.
feature film.
Yeah, I didn't believe him when he was saying that when we were shooting, but he was serious.
It's all TV and other media now,
Yeah.
but all 3 of those characters are sort of sexually somewhat fluid. They're not all their numbers are on the Kinsey scale are perhaps different. And this maybe sounds kind of glib, but is there something about, because human sexuality is so complex, that draws you into the sort of figuring out that as an actress?
I'm sorry, what?
Meaning.
I got lost somewhere, and I was thinking about the Kinsey scale, and I
Okay. I mean, is there any sort of unifying factor there between those 3 parts?
I mean, I really like that about all those women, that they're all very sort of in touch with their sexuality and not afraid of it.
Or discovering it.
Yeah, and discovering it. But Therese is discovering it, but I don't think she's really afraid of it. I mean, she jumped right in there. I mean, I think that's really important. I think showing female sexuality is really important in film. I mean, and I think showing females who are comfortable with their sexuality is important.
Yeah.
I like that.
What is it like being a woman in Hollywood? Is it a level playing field?
I mean, I don't think it's a level playing field, period. Not, male or female. It's just not. It's a weird playing field. I don't know really how I would describe it. I mean, I think it's more level than a lot of other industries, a lot of other playing fields, for sure.
Yeah.
We're lucky in our industry. We've got some really forward-thinking, progressive people. Um, but there's definitely things about it that are, and to me, it's like, I know there's been a lot of conversation about the pay gap, and obviously that is a huge, huge deal. But for me, I haven't really experienced that. Because most of the films that I do are these smaller films where everyone is getting paid the same amount.
Right.
Um, for me, it's more the language that's used to describe women versus men, and sort of the expectation for what a female is supposed to be like when you're out there on the red carpet or doing press. It's just it's a very strange.
Yeah.
I noticed it when I was doing press for her, and um, I was at a Q&A with everyone from the cast, and Spike and Joaquin and Amy, and everyone was there, and me and the other girls had like full hair and makeup on and an outfit, and I was in some like stupid jumpsuit. I was so uncomfortable. I had these high heels on, and Joaquin was sitting there in his Converse and his jeans, and he was so comfortable, and
Yeah,
I
right.
was just like glaring at him the entire Q&A, thinking that is so not. It's not fair. I want to be able to do that. So I'm very comfortable tonight. I'm in my own clothes. I didn't have my hair and makeup done. And I just think, that expectation that we're meant to be sort of these perfect little Barbie dolls who are always polite and grateful and gracious, it's just not
Right.
realistic, and it's not representative of women. I mean, yes, I can be sweet and I can be grateful and gracious, but I'm also many other things, and I don't, I want to be able to share those things.
Yeah. Well, I think Kate Blanchett talked about those sort of words like luminous and strong. They just
Yes.
kind of they don't feel like they mean anything, you know.
No.
But to talk about her, to talk about Kate Blanchett, not her, the
Right.
movie. Um, uh, you had 2 weeks of rehearsal time on this movie, which actually is quite nice because it wasn't a very big budget and schedules were tight. Was that when you first met her?
The first time I met her, she was actually also in the Terrence Malick movie that has
The
yet
one
to
in
be
Austin?
seen.
Yeah.
Yes, but I never met her on that. The first time I met her was at the Santa Barbara Film Festival about a month before we started shooting, and I presented her an award. So I met her briefly that night. But yeah, the first time I got to spend any real amount of time with her was those first 2 weeks of rehearsal.
What were those like? I mean, was it a big group of you? Was it just maybe the core cast?
Mostly it was just me, Kate, and Todd in a
Whoa.
room, and it was really nice. We just, spent days kind of going through the script and talking through it, and it was very casual, and
Hmm.
it was. I mean, it's amazing for me just to get to watch the two of them talk back and forth, and mostly I just listened to them.
And what was she like? I mean, you said before how it's not apparent right away how funny she is, how witty she is, how.
Yeah, she has that incredible Australian kind of weird humor, and she's really quick, and I wasn't expecting that. She's really funny, and she's also just she's everything I expected her to be in terms of, her work ethic and how incredible she is, but she's also just such a real down to earth, woman.
Yeah, yeah. Other people in the cast that you worked with, like Sarah Paulson,
I love Sarah Paulson.
she's really fun. I mean, one of the most talented actresses probably in the world. If you've
Yes.
seen all the range of performances, and she's really good. I've seen some of the O.J. Simpson miniseries where she
I
plays
know. I
Marsha
can't wait
Clark.
to watch it. I haven't watched it.
You and her had a scene I think that she's talked about 'cause she's very unfiltered in interviews.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
that was cut just because it was I think for time. I mean I don't think it was any other
Mhm.
reason than that. In which she's talking to you in the kitchen. You remember
Mhm.
this? And says, "What are your intentions with my friend?"
Yeah.
Basically. Is it hard for you two to watch the film and see things that aren't there that are missing from what you shot?
That was the only scene that I missed.
Okay.
There was one other little tiny thing, but that was the one scene that I really missed because it was an important part of our relationship, and I felt that it paid off more later if you had seen that scene. And it was just a really interesting, quiet. We never even looked at each other in the scene. We were in opposite sides of the room, and it was. I loved working with Sarah. We had a really hard time not laughing when we were
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really. Hopefully, that scene will make it to the DVD extras or something, so people can see it.
we have some questions, I think, both from email and from the audience and from Twitter. Are you on Twitter?
No, no, sorry.
You're not? Oh. Someone actually asks about an acting teacher you studied with called Bob Krakauer.
Yes, Bob. Does anyone know Bob Krakauer out there?
And is there one piece of advice that you can give away that he's used with you?
I don't have one piece of advice that I can think of. I worked with Bob on Carol. We spent a few days going over it, or more than a few days. And I first met Bob when I had first started auditioning for things in New York, and I was just terrible at auditioning. I really, it's kind of it's its own form of acting, and I was really not comfortable with it. And so I did a workshop that he did on auditioning, and it was so incredible and helpful. And he just has an amazing way of articulating things and simplifying them. You know, he'll explain a scene, and you just feel like a complete moron after that you didn't see how simple it was. So yeah, that's kind of what I love about Bob, is just he makes everything make sense whenever.
When
he's
you were with him,
explaining it.
did he have the script in the book and stuff to reference with you?
Yeah, he had the script. He didn't have the book, but we went through the entire script several times.
Wow. Someone asks here about the potential of seeing you on Broadway.
I don't know about Broadway, but definitely I want to do theater. I've just been waiting and trying to find the right thing. It's very scary to me, the idea of doing theater, but on Carol, actually, being around Sarah and Kate, it's something I'm definitely really, really want to try.
Some people have actually been buzzing. There's a question here about a sequel to Carol.
Oh God.
I think that's desire, or I think that's fantasy. But I mean, working with potentially with Todd Haynes again must be something that you would look forward to.
Oh, I mean, I would do anything with Todd. I really don't see a sequel to Carol in the future. I don't have the best luck with sequels, and I just don't. I don't think that will
Oh,
happen.
really?
But I do hope to work with both Kate and Todd in the future.
There's also, in addition to Sarah Paulson, since everybody, a lot of people here relate to the other actors, even though it's not really an ensemble film, he populates it with these great little, like, one or two scene players like Corey Michael Smith, who's on Gotham.
Yeah, Corey was great. That was the other little thing that was taken out that I really
What was
missed.
that? Can you tell us?
What?
Can you tell us what that was?
It was such a little. The reason I missed it was because it was like a fun, flirty moment between me and Kate, where we were just kind of having a little bit more fun, and our car breaks down, and he helps us change the tire or something silly like that. It was like a really
one more beat to that.
Yeah,
sort of
yeah. But he was amazing, and then John was amazing.
John
we had
Magaro,
a really nice scene together. That all my stuff was cut. Come to think of it.
Well, you guys have like 2 or 3 really nice scenes. John Magaro, who's in The Big Short right now too.
Yeah, and he's fantastic.
He's really good.
He's really great. In that.
He has a great little moment at the end when he's watching TV and you leave the party. But and also for anyone who's a big fan of Portlandia or Sleater Kinney, it's great to see. I think in maybe her first movie role, Carrie Brownstein.
Yeah.
Did that scene run longer when you guys were making it? Because she, just pops in.
Yeah, there was another scene where she came and basically gave me her number or her address or something.
Right.
Not her number, her address. She gave me her cell phone number, told me to text her. She gave me her address, and then Therese starts to sort of make the move to walk to her house, and then changes her mind and goes to the Oak Room to find Carol instead.
I wanted to ask you too if you had any experience working with the cinematographer Ed Lachman, who has made just the most visually beautiful film in a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like I owe half of my performance to just his visuals. I mean, he's so incredible, and I really felt like I was making a movie in the 50s, because him and his crew, they're all these sort of old-time New York guys, and they're all like yelling at each other back and forth, just because that's the way they talk with one another, and their New York accents, and it was really just, he's incredible, and he did such a beautiful job.
And I know Todd had brought to your attention, maybe you knew them already, a lot of photographers. The names of photographers in the 50s, female photographers who were shooting people through glass and through mirrors and things.
Yeah.
Was this like a sort of an education for you in a way, in all these great names and all this great art?
It was. I wasn't familiar with many of the photographers that he was referencing. Um, I had taken photography in high school and in college, so it was definitely something that I, had some experience with, and I love photography. But yeah, it was nice to be introduced to some, especially some of the female photographers that I didn't know about.
Yeah, and Todd really did. I mean, he absorbed all of that. It made a big impression on the way the film looks and
Yeah,
feels.
he made this visual reference book beforehand that he gave to us, full of all these uh, photos from photographers from that time. And it's weird if you go back and look at the book now, the film looks exactly like the book. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you see a director's references, and the film ends up looking nothing like that, but it really does look like the book.
And I don't want to talk too much about the finale of the film, even though these guys have all seen it since we're live streaming. But it is one of the best endings I've ever seen in a movie. And we've spoken about it a little bit before, but you said that was almost rushed, right? And you had no idea when you were shooting that it would have the sort of emotional impact because you're in a restaurant and you're just...
Well, I knew it was supposed to have
Right.
that kind of emotional impact. I just wasn't sure that if we got it or not. It was really late at night, so and it just took a lot of setting up. They had to relight or something, so it was like you fall asleep in the corner and then have to go run in and do it, and you feel kind of like it felt sort of anticlimactic when we shot it. But that happens a lot.
Right.
You're like, oh, that didn't work, and then those are the things that do work, and the things that you think you nailed are the things that get cut.
And I'm sure... um, and I'm sure it wasn't the last scene you shot. I mean, everything was done out of sequence, right?
Yeah, no, that was not the last scene we shot. Was walking down the street with Richard and all the boys, and
Oh, really?
yeah.
And what was the first scene that you shot?
The first scene that I shot was a breakup scene with Richard. It was also cut. That was the first scene, and it was a really important scene. It's never good to start with a scene like that. And it started raining, and then it started snowing, and then it was sunny. So we had to reshoot it later on, but neither version made it into the film.
Aw. And then that brings up Jake Lacy, who is really sweet in the movie.
He's so
I mean,
sweet in real life too.
that character could easily have been someone who we're encouraged to dislike in some way because we're rooting for Therese. But how great that he's just this kind of lovable guy who he wants her to be with him. And
Yeah. Oh, poor guy. We shot a really there was actually a really funny scene that also got cut where I'm basically like jerking him off. And then he finishes in my hand, and I'm just like staring at it, and it's a really funny scene. But I guess Todd, he didn't really want to show any.
the sexuality.
He didn't want to show sort of male pleasure in any way, which I respect that. But it was a really funny scene to shoot.
Well, on that note, thank you, Rooney, for talking to us. Thank you, everybody, for being here.